Hello, welcome to our Saturday afternoon live session, making huge strides in 2026. I want to see you be able to hit all of your goals, to take your business further than you ever thought possible. I want you to reach that 7-8 figure mark that you've been looking for. I want you to get that 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 billable hours that you've been aiming at, but maybe haven't been able to achieve. Today is going to be special. It's not going to be kind of special. It is going to be special because what I'm going to give you is called the 3 systems that separate surviving agencies from thriving agencies. Let me say that again. I'm going to give you the 3 systems that separate surviving agencies from thriving agencies. So where we're going with this today is we're actually going to gain some tools that are going to help you to be able to grow your business exponentially. And that part is not anything new that you've been getting from me. I've been giving it to you since I've been going live in these sessions and since I've gone live daily in our Facebook group. I've been giving it to you since we've been going live on Facebook, on Instagram, and all our channels. We now have a YouTube channel as well. We'll put all that information, or we're going to make all that information public. But I want you to grow. And this is why I'm here. I want to see the agencies grow. I want to see people grow. Agencies growing and becoming better and becoming stronger means that the seniors, the community, the vulnerable population that we serve on a day-to-day basis are going to get better, stronger, more qualified, more capable care. And if we can do that, if that is an occurrence, if that is a result of what I'm teaching, then I've done my job. If you enter 2026 with a new frame of mind and with a new strategy that's going to actually work, and you work the strategies that I'm giving you and you build your business so that it's thriving, I've done my job. But when you hit that point, when you start making those strides in your business, when you start adding that revenue to your business, when your income is increasing, when your business is stronger, when your systems are better, when your systems at home are better, when things are better with your family, and you have more free time, you have more time available, you have more liquid cash, you have more disposable income to come along, and investment income. Just don't forget to mention Sean Smith, Professor Home Care, who gave you the tools. Just mention me. Mention me to the people you talk to. Mention me in prayer. Just mention us. That would be great. That'd be grateful. We'll be so grateful for that. So gracious for that. Like the videos. Engage with the content. That's all we ask. Because when you take this, and I want you to take this and test it against what you're getting in these other groups that you're a member of, what you're getting from these other consultants and coaches that you're working with. When it comes to home care, I am not saying anything else. When it comes to what I've been giving you regarding home care, in building your business and putting systems in your businesses, put what I'm giving you against what they're giving you. And you tell me if what I'm giving you is relevant, especially when, I will say this to anybody, if you have a home care agency, home health care company, you're working in this space, in the senior care space at all. There are some terrific, I'm not going to say there aren't terrific coaches out there, terrific consultants. I actually have a terrific coach myself, because any coach that's not being coached is some kind of crackpot. But when it comes to this topic, I challenge you to put it against any information that you're getting from any of these other groups, any of these other coaches, any of these other consultants that you're listening to on a regular basis, and tell me if what they're giving you for free, not what you're paying for, but what is for free, matches up to what I'm giving you. And I would love to hear it. If you have somebody else point me in a direction, I would love to see it, because I know many of them. I'm in some of the groups. I've been in some of the rooms. I've heard what they offer, and I'm not knocking anybody. But what I know is that throughout the space, there's a lot of gatekeeping that goes on. There's a lot of withholding of information. There's not giving this and giving that. I'm giving you tools, because that not just tools, but tools that are actionable. I give you things that you can actually use, and that you can actually actionable and implementable in a week's time. So I want to just say good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for coming. and all those who will be listening on a replay. And welcome to this Saturday Live. And before we dive in deep, let me ask you something. What time did your phone ring this morning? Now, for me, when I was running the Touch of Love Home Care in Connecticut, it used to be 5:47 a.m. That was the time. Wouldn't fail. Saturday morning, somewhere around 5:47, clockwork, I get a call. A caregiver was calling out, a client was upset about something, a family member had an emergency, they had an issue. And I think, I'm starting thinking, one, I'm a business owner. I'm supposed to have freedom. I'm supposed to be building something. Instead, I feel like a dispatcher, a crisis manager, firefighter. Now, if that's you right now, if you spent this morning or any weekend playing what I call caregiver Tetris, trying to figure out who can cover which shift, if that's you, if that's ever been you, then you're in the right place. Because today, I'm going to show you 3 specific systems that separate the agencies drowning in chaos from the agencies scaling to $5 million and beyond. But here's what I need you to do. I need you to understand right up front. In 2025, the old way of running a home care agency is dead. It's over. Now you're probably asking, what's the old way? And that's throwing money at Indeed, hoping caregivers show up, competing on price with every other agency, burning through staff faster than you can recruit them. That model doesn't work anymore. And you know why? I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example from my state. I'm in Connecticut. Connecticut's minimum wage just hit $16.35 an hour. And it's going up again next year to $16.94 an hour. So your labor costs are rising, whether you like it or not, they just keep rising. Meanwhile, families are getting smarter. They're not just picking the cheapest agency anymore. They're looking at Google reviews. They're asking discharge planners who they actually trust. They're checking to see if your caregivers stick around or if you've got a revolving door going on. So you can't compete on price, and you can't win by just working harder. You need systems, real systems, the kind that let you sleep past 6 a.m. on a Saturday. Today, we're covering 3 systems, 3 specific documented processes that will transform how your agency operates. System number 1, the retention revolution. That's what I call it, the retention revolution. This is your workforce system. How you keep caregivers you already have instead of constantly recruiting replacements. System number 2 is the referral-to-revenue pipeline. This is your sales system. This is how you return referral sources into consistent premium paying clients. System number 3, the automated office. This is your operational system. How you eliminate administrative waste and actually make money. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Systems sound great, but they don't have time. You don't have time to build systems. You're too busy. You're too busy trying to keep the lights on. And that's exactly the problem. You're so busy fighting fires that you never install sprinklers. Now, here's what these 3 systems did for our agency. We went from 73% caregiver retention to 91%. That's not a typo either. I'm not just throwing numbers. 91%. We went from chasing every referral to having discharge planners call us first. Call us with premium private pay clients. We went from needing 1 office person for every 8 caregivers to 1 office person for the office period. We actually now have a team of VAs who actually handle things and mostly work remotely. When you do that, that all doubles and triples your administrative efficiency. Same market, same competition. We just stopped doing it hard. We stopped doing it the hard way and started doing it the smart way. And before you think, well, that's Connecticut, that's different. No, it's not. No, it's not. These systems work in any market. I know, I can tell you because I coach people in several different markets. And you know what? The system's the same. It all works. The numbers change, but the system still works. They work whether you're doing Medicaid or private pay. And I'll give you something else. I work better with private pay because our agency is a strictly private pay agency. We do not accept Medicaid. Do I know how to get Medicaid referrals pouring in? Absolutely. I know how to open the floodgates for Medicare. but we work best with private pay. That's our strength. We're strongest when we're helping agencies scale with private pay. And I will tell you something. You want to build a thriving agency? If you're based on Medicaid and you add a strong private pay pipeline and you mix that together, you talk about growth and explosion when those two things come together the right way. So our systems, they work whether you have 5 caregivers or 50 or 150. They work because they're based on how humans actually behave, not how we wish they behave. So let's dive into system number 1. That's the one that fixes your biggest profit leak, caregiver turnover. Let me pause here for a second. Because this caregiver retention problem is one that's so prevalent across the country, it's giving people nightmares. I actually started teaching on this one earlier this week and have been going in on it, going pretty deep on it in my live sessions. And I wanted to actually touch on it again now. And I want to actually going to keep touching on it pretty much throughout the close of the year, because I want agencies to be able to hit the ground running in 2026. I want people to see explosions. But this caregiver retention problem is one that has to be addressed and has to be dealt with, because this business, in order for it to work, in order for you to serve clients, you have to have people to serve them. So being that this problem is so big and so strong, I've been taking time to really dive into it and share some of our solutions, some of what we use to help solve this problem. So system number 1, we're going to call this the retention revolution. Most agency owners think they have a recruitment problem, but they don't. They have a retention problem. Now here's how I know this. If you hire 10 caregivers this month and 8 of them quit in the first 90 days, do you need better ads? Or do you need a better bucket? Of course, you need a better bucket, because you're pouring water into something with holes in it. And I can prove it. I can prove it with math, real math. I'm gonna use Connecticut math, because that's where I am. Let's say you pay caregivers $18 an hour. You charge the client $30. That's $30 an hour. And that's a $12 an hour gross margin, right? But here's what turnover actually costs you. The recruiting costs. You're running Indeed ads, paying per click. Average agency spends about $400 to hire one caregiver in Connecticut right now. Then you have your training costs, 8 hours of orientation plus shadowing. That's about $150 in labor costs to train someone. What about lost revenue? The 2 weeks between when someone quits and when you replace them. That's 24 billable hours gone. At $12 margin, that's $288 lost. Add it up. 400 plus 150 plus 288 equals $838 per caregiver who quits. If you have 20 caregivers and your turnover rate is 75% annually, you're losing $12,000 just in replacement costs. Not counting the client trust you destroy, not counting the stress. So retention isn't nice to have. It's literally the difference between profit and loss. Now, let me tell you where most turnover actually happens. And this is actually going to surprise you. 50 of caregiver turnover happens in the first 90 days. And most of that happens because of what happens or doesn't happen on day 1. I want you to think about it. Think about it from the caregiver's perspective. They show up for their first shift. They're nervous. They don't know the client. They don't know the house. They don't know the routine. If they feel lost, if they feel unprepared, if they feel like you just threw them into the deep end, they quit. Maybe not that day, but within 2 weeks. So here's the system. Let's call it the day 1 concierge process. Before the caregiver's first shift, they get a phone call, not an email, a phone call from you or your supervisor. On that call, you say, "Hey, Sarah, I know tomorrow's your first day with Mrs. Henderson. I want to make sure you feel prepared. Let me walk you through exactly what to expect." Then you tell them where to park, which door to use, where Mrs. Henderson keeps her medication, what her routine looks like, who to call if anything feels off. 5 minutes, that's it. 5 minutes to make someone feel prepared instead of panicked. And then, and this is key, You text them 30 minutes before their shift. You got this. Call me if you need anything. And that's the day one concierge process. A 5-minute call and a 30-second text. We implemented this in our agency a little over 18 months ago, and our 90-day turnover dropped from 42% to 19%. That's just one change. But day one is just the beginning. You know when most agencies talk to their caregivers? When they mess up. Or when you need them to cover a shift. Think about that. The only time you reach out is when there's a problem or when you need something. How does that make them feel? I mean, really think about that. It makes them feel like they only matter when something's wrong or when you're desperate. So here's system number 2. Within retention. The appreciation text protocol. Once a week, we do it every Monday morning. Someone from the office sends a personal text to 3 caregivers. Not a group text, not a generic great job team, a personal text to a specific person about a specific thing. Hey, Maria, Mrs. Patterson's daughter called yesterday. She said you stayed late to make sure her mom ate dinner. That meant the world to her. Thank you for going above and beyond. That's it. 30 seconds to write. One text, one person. And you know what happens? That caregiver screenshots that text and sends it to their family. She posted it on Facebook. She tells her friends, my boss actually appreciates me. We send 12 appreciation texts per month. The total time invested, 6 minutes. And our caregiver referrals, caregivers telling their friends to apply, went up. You know how much it went up by? 40%. Because people want to work where they feel valued, not where they just get a paycheck, where they feel valued. Now here's the system most agencies never think about. Stay interviews. You know what an exit interview is? You know what that is, right? When someone quits, you ask them why, and then they lie to you. Oh, it's not you, it's me. I'm going back to school, family stuff. Meanwhile, they start at your competitor that next week. Maybe they're already working there. Exit interviews are useless. You know what works? Stay interviews. Every 90 days, you sit down with your top performers, the caregivers you cannot afford to lose, and you ask them 3 questions. Question number 1, what's one thing we could do to make your job easier? Just one. Question 2, is there anything that's frustrating you right now that we might need to know about? And question 3, what would make you want to stay with us for another year? 3 questions. That third one is priceless. 3 questions, a 15-minute conversation, 4 times a year. And you know what you find out? Little things, fixable things. The schedule comes out too late and I can't plan my week. Okay, we can fix that. Mrs. Johnson's shower is really hard to use and I'm worried I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to hurt my back. Okay, let's get a shower chair in there. I wish I could get more hours, but I don't want to ask. Okay, let me see what we can do. You fix these small problems before they become resignation reasons, before there are reasons to quit, before there's reasons to leave your agency. We started doing these stay interviews about 2.5 years ago, and our top performer retention went from 71% to 94% because we're solving problems before people quit over it. The retention math payoff. Now let me show you what this actually means in dollars. Let's say you have 20 caregivers right now, and your annual turnover is 75%. Now that's close to the industry average in Connecticut. By the way, you're replacing 15 a year. At $838 per replacement, that's $12,570 in annual turnover costs. Now let's say you implement these 3 retention systems. Day 1, concierge, weekly appreciation text, quarterly stay interviews, and your turnover drops to 40%. Now you're only replacing 8 people per year. That's $6,704 in turnover cost. You just saved $5,866. But wait, it's actually more than that. Because those 7 fewer replacements mean you're not losing revenue during these gaps. and that's another $2,000 saved. And your clients are happier because they're seeing consistent caregivers. So your client retention goes up. That's more revenue. And your caregivers are happier, so they're referring their friends. That's lower recruiting costs. One retention system, actually 3 small systems inside one big one, creates a cascade of financial improvements. This isn't theory. This is actually what happened at our agency, at A Touch of Love. And it can happen for you, but retention is only system number 1. Now let's talk about where your clients actually come from and how most agencies are doing this completely wrong. First, let me get a sip of water. Let's talk about the referral-to-revenue pipeline. Most people don't understand that we are in the trust business, right? So system number 2 is the referral-to-revenue pipeline. And let me start with something that's going to sound harsh. It's going to sound harsh, but needs to be said. If you're competing on price, you've already lost. Home care, especially private pay home care, is not a commodity business. It's a trust business. Families are not sitting around comparing your hourly rate to your competitor's hourly rate. They're shopping for paper towels. Like they're shopping for paper towels. They're asking, can I trust this agency with my mom? And you know how they answer that question? They ask someone they already trust, a discharge planner at Hartford Hospital or one of the major hospitals in your town, a hospice nurse that they've already worked with, their neighbor who used an agency last year. That's your entire marketing strategy. But the agency that trusted people recommend, not the agency with the cheapest rate, not the agency with the flashiest website, the agency that discharge planners call first when they have a premium client. So how do you become that agency? You need a system. And let me tell you about the most expensive 15 minutes in home care. A family calls your office. Maybe they Googled it. Maybe they Googled home care near me. Maybe a discharge planner gave them your number. Maybe they saw your Facebook ad. They call. And one of 3 things happens. Option 1, someone answers. Great. Option 2, it goes to voicemail and you call them back in 15 minutes. Pretty good. Option 3, it goes to voicemail and you call them back 3 hours later. You just lost that client. Here's what you need to understand. When a family is looking for home care, they're usually in crisis mode. Mom just fell. Dad just got discharged from the hospital. They need help now. And they're not calling one agency. They're calling 3 of the 4 agencies. Whoever answers first and sounds competent, that's who gets the business. So here's the system. The speed to lead protocol. Every incoming call gets answered by a live human during business hours, period. Not a voicemail, a human. If it's after hours, you have a service that answers, takes the information, and immediately texts you. New inquiry, family name, phone number, situation, and you call them back within 15 minutes. 15 minutes, not tomorrow, not when you finish what you're doing, 15 minutes. And when you call them back, here's what you say. Hi, Mrs. Thomas. This is Mrs. Smith from A Touch of Love Home Care. I got your message about your mother. I know this is a stressful time. Let me see how we can help. You're not selling, you're not pitching, you're helping. We implemented this protocol in our business, and our inquiry to client conversion rate went from 34% to 61%, just from answering faster and sounding like we actually care. You know why? Because we do care. We just needed a system to show it. Now let's talk about referral sources, discharge planners, hospice nurses, elder care attorneys, the people who send you clients. Most agencies bring them donuts or pens with their logo, or maybe a nice fruit basket at Christmas. And then they wonder why they're not getting referrals. Here's the truth. Discharge planners don't care about your donuts. They care about making themselves look good. Their job is to discharge patients safely. If they send a patient home with your agency and that patient ends up back in the hospital in 2 weeks, the discharge planner looks bad. So if you want more referrals, make the discharge planner look good. How? Data. And here's the system. The referral partner report. Every quarter, you send your top 3 referral sources a 1-page report. It shows how many clients they referred to you, your average length of service for those clients, a rehospitalization rate from those clients, one specific success story. That's it. 1 page, 4 data points. And it positions you as a professional agency, the one that tracks outcomes, the one that helps discharge planners do their job better. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. We have a discharge planner at one of the hospitals. She refers maybe 2 to 3 clients per month to us. Good relationship. Last quarter, we sent her a report. In Q4, you referred X amount of clients to A Touch of Love. Average length of service, 147 days. Zero rehospitalizations in the first 30 days. Client satisfaction score, 9.2 out of 10. Success story. Mrs. R, who you referred in October, has been able to stay home safely thanks to your excellent discharge planning. Her family specifically mentioned how grateful they were for your recommendation. You know what discharge planner did? She forwarded that report to her boss because it made her look good. And you know what? You know what happened the next month? She started calling us first because we made her job look good. Now here's what most Connecticut agencies get wrong, and most agencies across the country get these wrong. They think they need to be the cheapest to compete. See, our state has one of the highest median household incomes in the country, 10th highest nationally. You know what that means? People here can afford to pay for quality. They want to pay for quality. They just need to believe they're getting it. So stop apologizing for your rates and stop offering discounts to stay competitive. Start positioning yourself as a premium option. Here's the system. The value conversation protocol. When a family asks your rates, here's what you say. Our rate is $38 per hour. And let me tell you what that includes. Every caregiver is background checked, reference checked, and trained in our specific care protocols. Every client gets a dedicated care coordinator who checks in weekly, not just when there's a problem. Every family gets 24/7 access to our on-call supervisor. If something happens at 2 a.m., you're not alone. And most importantly, we have a 91% caregiver retention rate, which means your mom isn't getting a different caregiver every 2 weeks. She's getting consistency. She's getting trust. That's what $38 an hour buys. Is that in your budget? You're not defending your price. You're explaining your value. And you're letting them decide if it's worth it. You know what happens when you position yourself this way? You attract clients who value consistency over cheap rates, clients who stay longer, clients who pay on time, clients who refer their friends. The $38 per hour client is a better client than a $30 an hour client. Not because they have more money, but because they value what you do. And that's how you build a referral-to-revenue pipeline, one that actually works. Answer fast, educate referral resources, position yourself as premium. Now, let's talk about the third system, the one that determines whether you actually make money or just stay busy. We're going to talk about the administrative bloat problem. System number 3, this is called the automated office. And let me ask you a question. How many office staff do you have per caregiver? Industry standard in Connecticut right now is about 1 office per every 8 to 10 caregivers. Office manager, scheduler, maybe a biller person, or if you're bigger, could be more. And here's what kills me. Half of what those office people do every day is completely unnecessary. I'm not saying they're not working hard. They're working very hard. They're just working on things that shouldn't exist, like answering the same 5 questions over and over. When is my caregiver coming? Can I get more hours? How do I pay my bill? How do I call if there's a problem? What's my caregiver's name again? Your office staff is spending probably 3 to 4 hours per day answering these questions every single day. That's 15 to 20 hours per week. That's $600 per month in labor costs just answering repetitive questions. And while they're doing that, they're not doing the things that actually grow your business. They're not calling referral sources. They're not onboarding new caregivers. They're not solving real problems. They're answering questions that could be automated. Now, we're going to talk about the self-service portal system. Now, here's the system. The family self-service portal system. You give every client family access to a simple online portal. Could be through your scheduling software. Could be a custom system. Doesn't matter. In that portal, they can see their caregiver's schedule for the week, their caregiver's name, photo, and phone number, how to request additional hours, how to pay their bill online, how to access their care rates or care notes, who to call in an emergency. Everything they need available 24/7. No phone call required. And here's what happens. The first week, families still call with questions because they're used to calling. But by week 2, they figured it out. They figured the portal is even faster. They can check the schedule at 10 p.m. in their pajamas. They can pay the bill from their phone while they're waiting in line at Stop and Shop. And your office phone stops ringing every 15 minutes. We implemented this at our agency. Our routine inquiry call volume dropped by 60%. That's 12 hours per week saved. That's $500 a month in labor costs. And you know what our office staff started doing with that time? Actually talking to new clients, actually supporting caregivers, actually growing the business automation. On the business. Automation doesn't replace people. It frees people up to do the work that actually matters. Now, let me show you the automation that most agencies completely miss. Geographic routing. What is geographic routing? Here's what I see all the time. An agency has caregivers driving all over town. One client in this town, next client in this town, next client back over here. And the agency owner doesn't think about it. Well, that's just where the clients are. Okay, but every mile your caregiver drives is a mile they're not billing. It's gas money, it's car maintenance, it's time that could be spending with another client. Let's do the math on the average caregiver. Probably drives about 30 miles per day between clients. At 70 cents per mile, which is the IRS rate, that's $21 per day in mileage reimbursement. But here's the thing. If you're not reimbursing mileage, you're still losing that money. You know why? Because the caregivers factor it in. They'll take the job that's closer to home. Now, what if you could reduce that mileage by 20%, say 6 miles per day? That's $4.20 per day saved per caregiver. If you have 15 caregivers, that's $63 per day, $1,260 per month, and $15,120 per year, just from routing smarter. So here's the system. Geographic clustering. When you're scheduling clients and caregivers, you look at a map. Where does this caregiver live? Where are your clients? Can you cluster clients by geography? Instead of sending one caregiver all over town, you create zones. This caregiver handles East Hartford. This caregiver handles West Hartford. It takes 5 extra minutes. It saves you $1,000 per year. Better yet, use scheduling software that does this automatically. It looks at addresses and optimizes routes. We started doing this in our company. Our average mileage per caregiver dropped from 32 miles per day to 24 miles per day. That's a 25% reduction. And our caregivers are happier because they're not spending 2 hours a day in traffic. Now let me tie all 3 of these office systems together and show you what they actually mean in actual profit. Let's say you're billing $30 per hour right now, which is sad. You're paying your caregiver $18 per hour. That's $12 per hour, your gross margin. But out of that $12, you're paying payroll taxes, about $2 an hour, workers' comp insurance, about $1.50 an hour in Connecticut, and office overhead, about $3 per hour if you have that 1-to-8 ratio. Mileage and other expenses, about $1.50 an hour. That leaves you about $4 per hour in net margin. That's a 13% net profit. Now, what if you implemented these 3 office automation systems? Self-service portal reduces office time by 12 hours per day. That's about a 75 cent per billable hour saved. Geographic routing reduces mileage by 20%. That's about 30 cents per billable hour saved. Automated reminders, we didn't cover this, but it's in the same category. Reduces late payments and office collections time. That's about 25 cents per billable hour saved. Total savings, $1.30 per billable hour. That increases your net margin from $4 to $5.30 per hour. That's 32% more profit on the same revenue. If you're doing 5,000 billable hours per month, That's $6,500 more profit per month. $78,000 more per year. Same clients, same caregivers. You just stop doing the things the hard way. That's what automated systems, office system does. It doesn't replace your team. It multiplies their effectiveness. All right, we've covered a lot. Now let me bring it all together. Then we'll open it up. All right, let's recap what we've just covered. System 1, the retention revolution. Day 1, concierge process. Weekly appreciation text. Quarterly stay interviews. Results, turnover drops from 75% to 40%, saving you $5,866 per year. System 2, the referral-to-revenue pipeline. Speed the lead protocol, 15-minute callback. Referral partner reports, that's quarterly data. Premium positioning, value conversation. Result, conversion rate goes from 34% to 61%. Referral revenue doubles, referral volume doubles. System 3, automated office, self-service portal. Reduces calls by 60%. Geographic routing, saves 20% on mileage. Smart scheduling and billing automation result. Net margin increases by 32% on same revenue. These aren't theories. These are the exact systems we run at our agency. And I've helped dozens of other agencies implement them across the country. But here's what I know from experience. You cannot fix what you cannot see. You're in the jar. You're inside your business every day. You can't read the label when you're on the inside of the jar. So what I put together, something to help you figure out exactly where your biggest leaks are. The scorecard introduction. It's called the 2025 Agency Resilience Scorecard. It's a 20-point audit that covers all 3 systems: workforce health, retention metrics, sales effectiveness, which is your referral conversions, operational efficiency. These are your profit margins. You're going to answer 20 questions honestly about your current state. Things like what's your 90-day caregiver retention rate? How quickly do you call back new inquiries? What percentage of your office time is spent on routine questions? What's your current net profit margin per billable hour? And then at the end, you'll get a score out of 100. If your score is 70 or above, you're doing pretty well. You've got some strong systems. If your score is 50 to 70%, you've got work to do, but you're not in crisis mode. If you score below 50, we need to talk, because you're probably working way harder than you need to and making less profit than you should. The scorecard is free. It takes about 10 minutes. And it will show you exactly which of these 3 systems is broken in your business. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Actually, it'll be down below the video so you can grab it. The video will be up on Facebook. It'll be in the group and you can grab it. And if your score is below 70 and you want help fixing it, we can talk about that too. But first, let's see where you actually land. All right, people, I want to thank you for joining our session. I want to thank you for taking time to join me today. I want you to have a great day, have a great weekend, make this one of your best weekends ever. I hope you got great value from this. Take care, and I'll see you soon. This is Professor Home Care signing off. Here's what happens next. You can close this video and keep struggling with the same problems, or you can hit that subscribe button right now and get the exact strategies that are working for agencies that are pulling in 30 to 40% margins. Every day, I'm dropping content you won't find anywhere else. Real systems, real numbers, real results. Don't just watch. Join the community that's actually building something. Subscribe now. I'm Sean Smith, and I'll see you on the inside.